911, what is your emergency?
My name is Tim, and we need help.
Okay, what's going on there?
My daughter's husband got in a fight with my daughter. I intervened and hit him in the head.
With what?
With a baseball bat.
Is he conscious?
No,
Is he breathing?
I can't tell.
I'm dead asleep when the phone rings. As a detective, you know that when the phone rings at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's never good. I'm out of bed, out the door, and headed to the crime scene. I go inside the house and look into the master bedroom, and it's pretty horrific. It's one of the bloodiest crime scenes I've seen in a long time. The female resident tells me she was fighting with her husband. Their daughter had a nightmare, and when she or the child woke him, he got angry. He choked her, pressing hard on her neck with his hand. Then he let go for a moment and she screamed. That's when her father came in.
I heard arguing and thumping upstairs. It sounded bad. I grabbed the bat and I ran upstairs. So I opened the bedroom door and he has got Melanie by the throat like this, and he sees me coming and he goes around the throat like this. I said, "Let her go." He said, "I'll kill her." And I hit him with the baseball bat. He reaches out and grabs the bat and tries to hit me.
I think he might have missed, and I hit him on the head.
You hit him with what?
With a brick on my nightstand. I'm not sure I hit him on the head or on the shoulder.
How many times did you hit him?
I don't know.
I can't tell you how many times I hit him. I can't tell you how many times he shoved me. I can't tell you, because it was a battle.
These two people are telling us they just were in a fight for their life. Her husband has horrific injuries, and they don't appear to have any. They have the right to defend themselves. But are they the victims? Or is he the victim?
Whispers in the dark, they creep.
How long have you been together?
About 7 years. My kids aren't biologically mine. They're from his first wife. She passed away. I'm scared his family will try to take the kids. I didn't adopt the children.
My brother got a call to say that John was dead. He and Melanie had an argument. She pushed him, he fell, hit his head, and died. I just couldn't believe it. John and we were super close. When I had learned the news, my first thought was to the welfare of his children. My husband and I were named as guardians in John's will. My husband, a David, went straight to John's solicitor's office, collected the will, and we flew out to America a couple of hours later.
This was going to be a case outside the norm of what we deal with. Melanie's father, Tim, was a retired FBI agent.
I'm a retired FBI agent. First half of my career was criminal. Second half was counterintelligence.
And he had been schooled in and had schooled other officers on the art of interrogation. I see Tom attempting to control the narrative and present things the way he wants to present them. Tim never admits that he saw Melanie hit John at all.
When I lost control of the bat and she wiggled out, she somehow distracted him, but I don't know. I'm scrambling.
We find that hard to believe. The night of the incident, I'm at the house. I learned that Molly's mother was in the basement. So we get a statement from her. She tells us that they got awakened in the middle of the night to a ruckus, and she hears her daughter scream. Her husband gets out of the bed, goes upstairs to take care of whatever the ruckus is, and she rolls over and goes back to sleep. I'm dumbfounded. What grandmother does that? What mother does that?
There is a possibility the family was thinking, I've got to sit down and get my story straight before I call the cops. EMS personnel also described that Jason's body was cool to the touch, and one of them asked the other, "When did they say he went down?" Then we get the results from the autopsy. The autopsy findings are horrific. John has abrasions on his forehead, under his eye, his shoulder blades. And then we get to his head. I have never seen photographs like this. He had so many blows to his head that the pathologist couldn't count them because they overlapped. And a chunk of John's skull fell out on the table. Takes an incredible amount of force to cause that kind of injury.
The children both make statements about John, about him verbally and physically hurting their mother by punching and pushing. But they also use a lot of words that 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds don't generally use. There's a possibility the kids might have been coached. There's a lot of, "This is what my mum told me about that night," and about things that had happened in the past. We went back to Melanie and Tim's interviews to dig deeper. Tim said that John was a martial arts guy. He knew that he was a boxer and tried to stay a bat's length from him. We tried to verify any training that John may have had in karate or martial arts, any boxing training he may have had.
Sheriff's Department contacted us and asked questions like, was John an MMA fighter? Was he a professional boxer? Was our family in the Irish Republican Army? But of course, these things are ridiculous. They were just doing everything they could to destroy his character. He was the most kind-hearted person you could meet. You would never see him without smiling. Everybody loved him. He was everybody's friend. Family meant everything to him.
I really loved John's kids like they were my own. But he never let me adopt them. I think he was afraid that one day, if we got divorced, I'd take them away from him.
In the course of the investigation, we're interviewing people about Melanie, her friends, her family, her neighbours, and what we're learning is just downright bizarre. We found out that Melanie told the neighbours she was the biological mother of the children. Some of the people in the room knew that wasn't true, yet the story was being told right in front of them. This shows us that Melanie has a tendency to make things up, so we came to the conclusion that Melanie is not credible.
I'm trying to establish why John was killed. There are a lot of email exchanges between John and Melanie that are concerning. There seem to be several red flags in the relationship. I believe he wanted to move back to Ireland, and it was going to happen very quickly, and Melanie couldn't let John leave with the children.
Tim and Melanie told us that John was quite drunk that night, but the toxicology report didn't support that. His blood alcohol level was 0.2. In our county, the legal limit to drive is 0.8. At the time he died, he was not drunk. In addition to a small amount of alcohol, John also had some of Melanie's sleep medication, a tranquilizer, in his system. Did he take it voluntarily, or was it given to him without his knowledge? That's a question we'll probably never be able to answer. What Tim said during his interrogation about the fight that night was also suspicious. Most of John's injuries were to the back and side of his head. How do you swing a baseball bat and hit somebody in the back of the head if you're standing in front of them? When the kids went to Ireland with their aunt before the trial, they decided to change their testimony and accused Melanie of making them lie to the people who were interviewing them. They said they had never seen their dad punching or pushing Melanie.
Even if it started as self-defense at the point when John was no longer aggressive toward them, they had to stop beating him. And they didn't. They beat him to death. As a result of this investigation, we decided that it was appropriate to charge second-degree murder. This isn't just excessive force. This is murder with malice.
The case of a former model and her father, an ex-FBI agent. Both of them have been sentenced to between 20 and 35 years in jail after being found guilty of second-degree murder.
We know how John died. Now we're going to tell you why he died. We're going to tell this story because it wasn't told in the first trial. It's going to be told this time. Melanie's family came to me and asked me to review the record, to convince the Court of Appeals to grant a new trial. One of the first things I came across was that John went to his doctor 2 weeks earlier and complained that he was getting angry for no reason. Almost the identical words used by the children. The brick on Melanie's nightstand was there to protect it from the rain, because she had painted it to make the garden look nicer for the children. She was a caring mother. Melanie is sitting in a women's prison with a sentence of 20 to 25 years, and I don't think she did this. There had been serious problems with the first trial, and I managed to get them released on bail.
For the first time in over 3.5 years, I walked out of that jail free. Now we have to prepare for a new trial in front of a new jury. Domestic abuse was going to come into the light. The abuse that I suffered and endured, it was going to come out. Things were not great in regard to John's treatment of me. Almost every day there would be some kind of interrogation about what I did that day, who I talked to, and what I was wearing. And sometimes that would lead to a violent situation. Some of my friends in the neighborhood, one of whom was the family attorney, recommended that I keep a record not only of the abuse, but also of everyday motherhood. They were small recording devices that were voice-activated, and I put them around the house, underneath the coffee table, underneath the counter, on the nightstand. My plan had been to control the situation until the children were old enough to have a say in court.
I'm trying to talk with my son.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Could you just give me 2 minutes to talk to my kids?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You should be.
We learned that there are secret recordings Melanie made of John. Melanie was the only person who knew the recordings were being made, which created a scenario where she could control the narrative. She was preparing for divorce and custody proceedings. Anyone making secret recordings in a personal relationship can manipulate the context and make the other person look bad.
As we were preparing for a retrial, I found out that Melanie had a handful of close friends who had either heard John threatening her or had witnessed John's controlling behavior, supporting what Melanie had described to me. One of the women said, "Melanie told me John had strangled her before in the bedroom. If the victim loses consciousness in such a situation, they can lose control of their bladder. And we found urine stains in the crotch area of her pajamas." In light of this evidence, the office of the district attorney was willing to consider plea negotiations.
I had no interest in taking a plea. I was ready to go to trial. I was ready to fight back. But the possibility of us losing at trial and my father being incarcerated for what would be the rest of his life, I couldn't handle that responsibility.
Members of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Melanie and Tim are going back to prison for the death of Melanie's husband. This afternoon, the judge sentenced them to 51 to 74 months.
When you factor in the amount of time they already served when they were previously found guilty for second-degree murder, it only adds up to about 7 or 8 months.
The judge made it clear it was difficult for him to find the truth in this case.
I did not emotionally, physically, or in any way abuse my children. I'm not allowed to attempt to have any contact with them. That's a court order. I may not be their mother now, but I was a mother to them in another lifetime.
Whispers in the dark, they creep. Old floors creak when secrets sleep. Moonlight casts a ghostly shade. In this house where dreams